Hey guys, today I'm going to give you a garden tour for the end of June now that the summer has started and show you how everything's doing in my garden. Some of you may recall I had some rabbit issues and I'll show you what I did to take care of that. I am dealing a little bit more with deer now, but you know, we're going to be spraying a little bit more. And a lot of the things though aren't too bothered by the deer. So anyway, so let's take a look and see how everything's doing. So here's the bed where all the bunny damage had occurred, and we have now surrounded it in chicken wire. That has definitely helped keep the rabbits out. And we also added a bunch of paver stones all the way around the edge of the bottom of the deck of that lattice, because that is all empty at the bottom. There's a space, and we wanted to make sure they weren't just using it as a hideout or a home, and that has helped tremendously. Unfortunately, deer can still get in here, and they did. So we've now added some fishing wire. I've added a wind chime, and also the little bags of blood meal. And you know, I just came out one morning and my sunflowers that I had put out here all had been chomped on. All the tops were chopped off. And then I have a bunch of zinnias. They did not touch the zinnias. And they did touch the hyacinth bean. So some of the leaves at the bottom were eaten off. But I think it should be all right. It still has a bunch of leaves and it's putting on more growth and it's starting to wrap around the lattice. And the hollyhock is looking beautiful and has flowered. And we can now tell that it's this beautiful blush light pink color. And I could tell though when the deer had come in, because I had a bunch of leaves over here and there's only stems left, and bunnies cannot reach that high. So it's definitely the deer. I know they can probably still reach in, but yeah, we'll see if they stay away. We did spray with deer spray, so we'll keep up a little bit more with that spraying. But the good news is the dahlias are doing well. These two were covered, so they never sustained rabbit damage, and those were good. The gladiolas have all come back from all the damage. Now the deer, I think, did chomp a little bit at them, but they should be okay, I think. And the straw flowers, I have a bunch over here. So I moved them because I needed room when I get into this area. And I had pink straw flowers, or have pink straw flowers here, but I have buds, and those also got eaten by the deer, unfortunately. So I have no blooms to show you there, but the Gara is in bloom and it's looking quite beautiful. The clematis has put on quite a bit of growth now that they're not being disturbed by the rabbits, and I think some buds may also be forming on this plant. But here is pretty much dahlia land, and everything is looking phenomenal. I've staked everything up because last year I had a terrible time with things being twisted and on the ground, and then trying to stake them up afterward was not fun. So yeah, they're doing fantastic. Only one little one is far behind. Everything else is looking pretty good. And then the foxglove over here, it was done blooming, so I cut it back, but now I've got a bunch of little blooms that are starting on it. The astilbe over here is putting on some of these buds, and I'm looking forward to seeing this. And then this is the bare root astilbe, and lots of buds on this, and it's just looking so beautiful. I can't wait to see it in bloom. Back here are the hydrangeas, the twist and shout, and they're looking gorgeous. So many blooms already on it, and tons more buds just starting to grow. Just such a super easy plant. Super happy with this one. And over here, the foxgloves, they were done blooming, so I don't have the tall stalks anymore, but they are putting on a second set of blooms. Oh, I'm super happy. Like, this is just beautiful. And it's got buds all the way down to the bottom. So this will just continue to grow and put on a show. So back here I have some yarrow that I transplanted, and then some stone crop that I had. And then I plan on making my fairy garden, or part of it, over here. Another little hydrangea, and that's looking great. And I added a bunch of hyssop in here as well, and some annuals. I have some salvia in here. As well as over here, I've added just a bunch of salvia and one or two hyssops in here as well. And then I've got the rose campion still in beautiful bloom, as well as this little hydrangea here. It was a cutting from the other one. And this is, I think, the third year here, and it's just in bloom and looking gorgeous. In this bed, I have added a lot of annuals, and I've also added a lot of my winter sown seedlings. So right now the rose campion is still going profusely and flowering just beautifully. The catmint has pretty much ended, and I probably will cut it back either this weekend or next weekend, along with the salvia. And I've added some bags that are filled with blood meal, and I hope that those will keep some of the rabbits away. They have been munching on some of the delphiniums that I've added here, but it is keeping them away to some degree, because some of the yarrow is finally putting on some growth. And so I hope to have a little bit more. Here, the dianthus has finally started to flower. The cherry brandy is about to flower as well. This one I have kept just secured. And let's see, here is some lavender hyssop that I already had here. So that's going to put on blooms later this season. I have a bunch of bee balm that I did add to this bed in various places, and some of them are looking fantastic. So this one's looking great. And I also expect for the Millennium alliums to flower hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But I did have the rabbits munching down at the bottom of the leaves, which it is just unusual, because this is not something they're supposed to bother. The onion family is just not something they eat. Over here I have a calendula, the one that self-seeded itself, and right now it's not all open, but it was looking absolutely beautiful this morning. I do have to deadhead some of that. And over here I planted some zinnias, some Oklahoma mix in this patch, a couple of them. So far not bothered by anything. And over here I have some calendula that I winter sowed, and those are looking absolutely beautiful, and love the creamy color of them. Back here I added, this is the purple coneflower. So we'll see if the bunnies eat it, because coneflowers is one of their favorite things. So I'm testing that out. And then here is all the lavender. Now, one thing I noticed is the ones in the front are the English lavender, but the back one was the one from the big box store. That actually is a different variety. So the flowers look very different. And the one in the back is a more dwarf variety. Actually has a better smell. Or a stronger smell. So I will have to move that and put it a little bit more forward. But I added a bunch of salvias and snapdragons, which have not flowered yet, some white angelonia, and some beard tongue over here. This snapdragon has put on a little bit of a bloom, and that should look wonderful once it all flowers in. But back here is what you'll see, some of the bee balm, some additional bee balm, and some hyssop, some agastache white. This is a white one, I believe, that I put in here. So looking forward to this later in the summer and seeing how it looks and flowers. Over here, these snow-capped daisies had lots of buds, but they were chomped down. It's putting on a few new buds, but unfortunately this little patch is not going to flower. I did put a white hyssop over here. Over here is the hydrangea, and it has started blooming, and the color is a bluish purple. I may have to add a little more soil acidifier to make it more blue if I want that. So this one doesn't have as many buds because it doesn't get quite as much sun. But this one is blooming quite beautifully considering the frost it got hit with. And I'm just loving this one because it's got kind of all three colors. Down here is a pinkish purple, and then we've got this more purple, and way back here we definitely have blue. I absolutely love this one with all these colors showing up. So I hope I can replicate that in future years. Back there, I've got the gladiolus, which are putting on quite a bit of growth until hopefully nothing bothers it and eats it up. Back here, I did put in a sea holly. So let's see if it grows in that space. And over here, the St. John's wort, just starting to put on more buds. It flowered a little bit here or there, but it's a little behind. And here, this side of the snow-capped daisies didn't get eaten yet, and it's put on beautiful flowers. The crepe myrtles here are putting on some beautiful buds and should be blooming by the next garden tour around mid-July. Over here, I've started vegetables in grow bags. I have a bush type of cucumber, a green zucchini. I've got 3 types of tomatoes. My brother-in-law was kind to get me some starts, some seedlings that he had growing. So I've got a Rutgers hybrid, a beefsteak tomato, and a San Marzano. So looking forward to tomatoes. This is the first time me growing tomatoes. The only thing I've grown before is the zucchini. This is a yellow squash, and so is this one. 2 different varieties. This one my neighbor gave to me also as a start, so it's very far along and probably will start producing real soon. So looking forward to having veggies this year. So here's the container where I had put all the dahlia seedlings, and they all seem to be doing really well. And I'm just wondering if they're a little too crowded over here. But I'm afraid to also move them because I think that, if I disturb the roots, I think that might be worse. So I might just leave them and see what happens. But that's looking great. Here are the containers where I had added some zinnias, some Oklahoma mix, and a few dahlias. And unfortunately, this one back here, it was down at ground level and it got eaten up by the bunnies. So I put it up here, a couple steps up. I'm not loving it being over here just because it's messing up the step and the paint. So I'll have to figure something out. I do have some pot feet, so I may have to raise it on pot feet, and hopefully that would help. So we'll see. But over here, these zinnias did okay. 1 or 2 got munched on. You can see here, this one is one of them that got munched on. But all the other ones are doing fine. So there's plenty in here to fill out this pot. Up here I have some strawberries that I bought at a nursery. And then I have these pots here with geraniums and snapdragons. I absolutely love these. And then up here, this is some leftover petunia and geraniums from the container I had done for the front of the house. I used some of the leftover pieces of plant that I had left, and it made this really nice hanging planter. And over here inside the deck, I have this little vignette of flowers that I absolutely love seeing every morning. This basket was given to me as a gift with full flowers, and I'll put up a little clip of that, of what it looked like with the spring flowers in it. So a lot of them were done blooming, and I took them out and added some new ones in here. So I've got some geraniums, and I have, here is one of the begonias that was in the front planter, but it got so crowded that I had to take it out, and so I brought it in here. And then here's another one of the begonias from the other planter. This actually was in the basket, so I kept it in here. Once it's done blooming, I may have to replace that one, but a nice little spreading petunia and a geranium. Some begonia corms that I got from Walmart, and they're going to take a little bit to put on some growth and flower, but I love the way this looks in this little corner. Makes me happy coming out here every time. The snow-capped daisies are in beautiful bloom over here, and I'm super happy to see this. It did have a lot of aphids, but I hit it with dead bug, and they just look phenomenal. Over here I put a bunch of hyssop and some rose campion to try and protect the gladiolas, and I also added some of the coneflowers inside the chicken wire. Those are the green twisters that I winter sowed, so I'm taking a chance on those. And I added some lavender, and I've got some veronica over here. These are more of the snow-capped daisies. The heucheras are looking beautiful, and some blooms on them as well. And then I've got the New Guinea impatiens, some beer tongue as well. I put some salvia in here instead of the coneflowers I had, and those went to my mom's garden, and I have a video of her garden, so you can check that out. Over here is one of the other astilbes, and this one's actually a little closer to blooming and just looking absolutely spectacular. So here are the planters that I had put together in another video, and they're looking really great. I did have to rearrange them a little bit because they were getting a little overcrowded, and I took one begonia out of each one, and those are the ones I showed you out on my deck. But they're looking really great. So thanks for joining me today, and if you like this video, hit the like button. If you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.